Welcome to the voice of Ibrahim Traoré, where we explore the most shocking, heart-stopping moments in the world of political intrigue and suspense. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so and click the notification bell so you don't miss any revelations. Today's story is unlike anything you've ever heard. A sitting president, surrounded by hundreds of bodyguards, assassinated in his own office at his desk in front of a room full of his most trusted men. This is the incredible true story of Ibrahim Traoré's assassination attempt and his fight for survival. But who did this and why? It was just another normal day at the presidential palace in Ouagadougou. The sun was high in the sky, casting its bright rays through the large windows of Ibrahim Traoré's office. The hustle and bustle of the world outside seemed to fade away as the president sat behind his massive desk, poring over documents that required his immediate attention. The weight of his office had become a heavy burden, and the world's political pressures were mounting with each passing day. But Ibrahim Traoré had never shied away from a challenge. He was known for his leadership skills, his resilience, and his unwavering commitment to Burkina Faso's future. With every decision, he had taken great care to ensure the country's survival in a world where power was always at stake. But today, something felt different. Today, a sense of unease lingered in the air. Despite the impenetrable security surrounding him, his office was a fortress. The room itself was secure, every inch covered by the highest level of surveillance. Outside the walls, there were 200 bodyguards, a team handpicked to protect the president. They were all highly trained, loyal, and capable of defending the building against any threat. This was not a man who could be easily touched. Yet that morning, something was about to happen that would change everything. Ibrahim was deeply focused on the report in front of him, his pen gliding over the pages as he jotted down notes. The room was quiet except for the sound of his pen and the soft hum of the air conditioning. His personal assistant, Marie, stood by the door, waiting for him to finish. But then, without warning, the atmosphere shifted. The door to the office creaked open, and one of the senior bodyguards, Captain Mamadou, stepped in. He was a massive man, his frame imposing, and his reputation for handling the most dangerous situations was unmatched. But today, Mamadou's face was unusually tense, his eyes flicking nervously toward the door as if expecting something. Mr. President, Captain Mamadou began, his voice low but urgent. There's a situation outside the palace. I don't know if it's related, but we've received reports of movement near the perimeter. Ibrahim didn't look up from his papers, his mind racing through the possibilities. Any immediate threat? Not yet, sir, Mamadou replied, his unease still palpable. But it's unusual, and we've heightened security. I just wanted to make sure you're aware. Ibrahim finally looked up, meeting Mamadou's eyes. Thank you, Captain. I'll handle it. As Mamadou stepped back out, Ibrahim's thoughts shifted. There had been whispers of instability in the region, but he couldn't afford to get distracted. He had a country to lead, and he couldn't afford to waste time on baseless rumors. He stood from his desk, walking over to the window where he could see the palace grounds and the armed guards standing at attention. The perimeter was secure. The palace was secure. Or so he thought. Suddenly, without any warning, the world outside his office exploded in a deafening sound. A loud bang shook the air, followed by several more in rapid succession. Ibrahim spun around, his heart pounding in his chest. The gunfire wasn't coming from the perimeter. It was coming from inside the palace, from somewhere too close. Far too close. The room was instantly filled with chaos. His guards rushed in, weapons drawn, eyes wide with panic. A commotion outside his door could be heard as more bodyguards scrambled to take action. Ibrahim felt his blood run cold as he realized that this was no ordinary threat. His heart raced as the situation unfolded before him. And in the blink of an eye, the unthinkable happened. Another explosion rocked the palace, and the doors to his office burst open. The figure that stepped into the room was masked, their movements swift and calculated. Ibrahim's bodyguards were quick to react, drawing their weapons, but they were too slow. The figure was already there, moving too fast. A gunshot rang out. Sharp, loud, and deadly. The world seemed to slow down for Ibrahim. For a moment, time stopped. He looked down and saw blood seeping through his shirt, the wound already growing. More painful. He could feel the searing heat spreading through his chest as the bullet pierced his body. The agony taking hold. His bodyguards lunged at the figure, but it was too late. The assassin's job was done. Ibrahim stumbled, falling against the desk, the world blurring around him. He could hear shouting and chaos outside the office, but everything seemed distant. His vision began to fade, and his mind fought to keep him conscious. He couldn't go down like this. He couldn't let them take him. Sir. Amadou, his loyal aide, shouted as he rushed into the room, his face filled with panic. Stay with me, Ibrahim. We've got you. Ibrahim's head swam, and the world seemed to tilt. He could hear the voice of his bodyguard, Captain Mamadou, calling for medical help, ordering the palace to be locked down. Ibrahim clung to the fading threads of his consciousness, trying to keep himself from slipping away. But before he lost all control, one thought filled his mind. Who could have done this? The world around Ibrahim Traoré was a blur as his bodyguards rushed into his office, pulling him away from the desk where he had collapsed. His chest burned, the wound spreading. Heat and pain through his body as they dragged him out of the room. He was conscious, but barely. Every breath felt like a struggle, and the world seemed far too quiet, despite the chaos that had erupted outside. His mind was racing, trying to focus on the reality of what had just happened. But the blood loss was starting to take its toll. I'm not done yet. Ibrahim muttered under his breath as Amadou, his closest aide, hurriedly applied pressure to his wound. His vision flickered, and he could feel the weight of the situation pressing in on him. He was the president of Burkina Faso, the leader of a nation, and someone had just tried to take that away from him. The pain in his side was excruciating. But it was the deeper pain of betrayal, of not knowing who had orchestrated the attack, that made him feel most vulnerable. The guards moved quickly, ushering him down the hallway toward a secure medical room within the palace. As they passed through the corridors, Ibrahim's thoughts were consumed with one question. Who did this? His country had enemies, yes, but this attack felt personal. It wasn't just an attempt on his life, it was a message. A calculated strike, designed to destroy his authority, to shatter the stability he had worked so hard to build. The fact that it had happened in front of 200 bodyguards, the best trained, most reliable men in the country, made it even worse. Whoever was behind it had resources, power, and a deep understanding of his movements. As Ibrahim was rushed into the medical room, the doctor's hands immediately went to work, checking his vitals and stitching up the wound in his side. The bullet had narrowly missed his organs, but the pain, the blood loss, and the fear were all too real. Ibrahim's heart rate was dangerously high, and the doctors warned him that he needed to stay still, to rest. But resting wasn't an option. This attack wasn't a random act of violence. It was the beginning of something bigger. He could feel it in his gut. I need answers now, Ibrahim said, his voice weak but commanding as he looked at Amadou. Find out who did this. Don't stop until we have every detail. Amadou, always composed in the face of danger, nodded solemnly. Of course, sir. We'll find them, but you need to stay calm. You've been hurt. Asterisk. I can't afford to stay calm, Ibrahim replied, trying to push through the pain as he sat up on the medical table. This is bigger than me, Amadou. I can feel it. Someone is trying to destroy everything we've worked for. They won't stop with me. Asterisk Amadou didn't argue. Instead, he moved quickly, instructing the medical staff to monitor Ibrahim's condition, and organizing his security team to start an immediate investigation. Asterisk, the palace was on lockdown. Every exit sealed. Every visitor monitored. Asterisk. But Ibrahim wasn't just concerned about finding the shooter or the immediate threat. He knew this attack was only the tip of the iceberg. Asterisk, as the hours passed and the doctors managed to stabilize him, Ibrahim's mind was elsewhere. He couldn't rest. Asterisk, his presidency, the future of Burkina Faso, and his very survival depended on uncovering the truth behind the attack. There were no easy answers, no quick solutions. Asterisk, all he knew was that the bullet was just the beginning of something far darker. Asterisk, the conspiracy against him ran deeper than he could have ever imagined. Asterisk, this wasn't just an assassination attempt. It was an orchestrated move by someone with access, influence, and a plan. Asterisk, and if Ibrahim didn't act swiftly, this threat would destroy everything he had fought for. Ibrahim's thoughts turned to the people closest to him, his trusted aides, his generals, his advisors, and he realized that there could be a traitor in their midst. The attack hadn't just come from outside the palace. It had come from within. He wasn't just fighting to stay alive. He was fighting to expose the treason that had been growing in the shadows for far too long. Asterisk, in the following days, Ibrahim's investigation began. His security team combed through every inch of palace footage, every document, and every communication that had passed through the government systems. They traced the movements of his bodyguards, cross-referencing each one with visitors and suspects. It was a thorough and meticulous process. But with every lead they followed, Ibrahim's gut told him that the conspiracy ran deeper than he could have anticipated. Asterisk. And then the breakthrough came. Asterisk, Amadou entered the room with a grim look on his face, holding a folder filled with printed documents. Asterisk, sir, we've discovered something. The shooter, the one who fired at you, was connected to someone high up in the military, someone trusted. Ibrahim's heart skipped a beat. Who? Asterisk, General Yamayogo, Amadou said, his voice filled with disbelief. He's been in contact with the assassin. His records show meetings with mercenaries and suspicious financial transactions linked to him. This wasn't just a random attack on you. It's part of a larger scheme, and it's coming from within your own ranks. Asterisk, Ibrahim's mind raced as the implications hit him like a wave. Yamayogo was more than just a general. He was a trusted ally, a friend almost. The realization that he had been targeted by someone so close was a devastating blow. Asterisk, you sure about this? Ibrahim asked, his voice cold, controlled. Asterisk, Amadou nodded grimly. Yes, sir. The evidence points directly to him. Asterisk, Ibrahim's eyes narrowed, his resolve hardening. The battle for his life was far from over. The person who had tried to kill him had been an insider, someone who knew how to get past all security. But Ibrahim wasn't going to let this stand. He had to act. Asterisk, we need to bring him in, Ibrahim said firmly, his voice low and deadly. I want General Yamayogo in front of me now. Asterisk, the room was cold, the air thick with tension. Ibrahim Traoré sat behind his desk in a secure room within the palace, the weight of betrayal pressing down on him like a heavy stone. He had survived the assassination attempt, but now the real battle had begun. General Yamayogo, one of his closest allies, had been exposed as a traitor. The information Amadou had uncovered sent shockwaves through Ibrahim's mind. The general wasn't just involved in the plot against him. He was one of the masterminds, working in cahoots with foreign operatives, mercenaries, and corrupt officials to seize control of Burkina Faso. Ibrahim's breath quickened as he gripped the edge of the desk. The shock of the betrayal still burned in his chest. Yamayogo had been by his side, trusted beyond measure, and now he had turned against him, selling out his country for personal gain. Ibrahim had never expected it to be someone so close to him. The realization hit hard. His own government, his own military had been infiltrated, and the conspiracy reached farther than he could have ever imagined. Ibrahim knew that he had to move fast. He couldn't afford to let this treason fester. His country's survival depended on it. The assassin had nearly succeeded, and Yamayogo's betrayal had been the catalyst. Ibrahim's mind shifted into full focus. He couldn't let this go unanswered. We need to find Yamayogo, Ibrahim said, his voice calm but filled with icy resolve. He must be brought to me now. Amadou stood at attention, his face grim. We've already tracked him, sir. He's in a safe house on the outskirts of the capital. We believe he's gathering support from his network. Ibrahim's fists clenched. I want him alive. I want him to face what he's done. Prepare the team. The next few hours were a blur of activity as Ibrahim's security team mobilized. The convoy was prepared, and within moments they were speeding toward the safe house. As the convoy wound its way through the city, Ibrahim's mind raced. Yamayogo had betrayed him, but more than that, he had betrayed the people of Burkina Faso. This wasn't just about power. It was about the very soul of the country. Ibrahim knew that if Yamayogo was allowed to continue, he would stop at nothing to destroy everything Ibrahim had fought to rebuild. The safe house loomed in the distance as the convoy arrived, its walls rising high against the darkening sky. Ibrahim could feel the tension building. This was the moment of reckoning. His country was on the brink of disaster, and the man who had nearly killed him was within his grasp.